Oh, no, leave meeting.
Too soon.
Good
Good morning.
leaving? Oh, okay. I'm like, oh, this is my chance.
All right. This morning we're going through a day in the life of Jilanne, who has, you were one of my first VAs that I took on the team about over 8 years ago. You've been a superstar throughout, and yeah, we're gonna put you under the spotlight and do what a day in the life of Jilanne looks like. So you ready?
Oh, good. Let's do it.
All right, I'll just go through the questions, Jilanne, and you just let it roll.
Cool.
So why did you want to be a VA in the first place, and has being a VA delivered on what you wanted?
Yeah, absolutely. So originally, I've probably been thinking about it for about probably 3 years before I even took the plunge at all. And what kind of triggered it was my husband's South African and he wanted to go back to South Africa. We were in New Zealand at the time.
I can see your cat in the background.
Spider bombing us. That'll be good. So we were in South Africa and I didn't have a work permit and he worked a rotation. So he worked 2 months and he was off a month. I didn't want to be stuck at work that month he was off. So that every month that he was off, we traveled all over South Africa. We did all the safari parks. Like we went everywhere. We were living in Durban, went to Cape Town. I didn't want to be stuck in an office job while all that was going on. And so I started kind of looking like what else can I do? And I don't even know where the idea of virtual assistant even came, like where I even heard of it really, but I figured it out. I made my own website. I just started connecting with people online. I got my first clients and sending that first invoice was like, your heart's pumping. It's just so exciting at the same time. And the very first thing that I did was, it was a PhD student and I helped them format their thesis. And I think I can't even remember how much I made. It wasn't much at all, but that that's not the point. The money's not really the point at that stage. So then we moved back to New Zealand. The business just came with me. We had a baby. The business, I could just fit it in around his, when he was a baby, I kind of pulled back on client work. As he grew older and started going to kindy and that, I could take on more. And I think it's really like so many of my friends with babies, they were like bored at home. They'd been used to working. Now they had kind of nothing really to do. And so I had this other thing that I could focus on, so it wasn't just all about being stuck at home with a baby, and that can be really stressful for mums, especially when it's the first baby. So yeah, to answer that, it has absolutely delivered on everything that I expected it to do. It's just the flexibility. If I move to a different part of the country or a different country, the business comes with me, the clients come with me, and clients come and go. Over the 8 years, I've worked with so many different companies and small businesses and solopreneurs and just like a whole wide spectrum. And now I tend to work more with like coaches, creatives, consultants, solopreneurs. They're on their own. They just need someone to do a few things for them. And I do more like social media, marketing stuff, email marketing, setting up the tech on the back end, helping manage Zoom calls, moderating Zoom calls if they have meetings, all of that tech stuff that I find creative people just don't want to know. And so they put off doing things because they just don't want to know about the tech side of it, or they think it's too hard. And, it can be absolutely, like it's not always when you're dealing with technology. It's hit and miss with technology. Like sometimes it fails and you kind of have to make a plan, right?
What have the challenges been, Jilanne? What's been hard or frustrating?
Sometimes, I guess, when the technology is supposed to work and it just doesn't, you test out an email automation and just one of the links isn't there and the email doesn't come through at the end. So it's, you know, it's figuring all that side of it out. Also, sometimes if you have clients with things due all at the same time, it's like about prioritizing and just knuckling down and switching Facebook off, canceling all the Zooms and knuckling down and getting it done. So those would probably be my main challenges, but just really prioritizing what's urgent, what needs to be done now, what can wait till tomorrow, and just kind of working with everyone's deadlines. And I work also across time zones as well, which can be in our favor or not. Sometimes, you know, being in New Zealand, we're the first country, and so I've got all the work done before my clients even wake up in the morning, you know. So that can be a plus.
Do you miss working with people? Do you miss that office environment, or?
Not really. I mean, I've been really lucky that any of the corporate jobs that I've had have been like with really awesome people, and I've got along with everyone. You know, I know a lot of people leave corporate because they just are constantly fighting with people and arguing. Well, not arguing, but you know, they're bumping up against other people. Especially at this time, you know, with lockdown and then not in lockdown and lockdown and not in lockdown. Half the countries on one level, half the countries on the other level. Like we just, you know, just carry on as normal, really. And because we're on Zoom all the time,
you get that people contact.
You just get that people contact, yeah. Like even my husband and son are always out, like hanging out with the neighbours and kind of doing stuff, you know, within our lockdown level and what bubbles we're in and whatever. But they're always like going to see people, and you know, because they don't have that other contact that I have, like just chatting with people, even email, you know, you're still connecting with people. And I do go to town now and again. I live out in the country on the west coast.
Off the grid.
Off the grid out here.
With your chickens.
With the chickens. We've got 4 little baby chickens at the moment. So yeah, we've got, I think, 10 hens and 1 rooster and then little babies. So it's cute to have little chickens around when I'm not sending out emails or posting on social. I'm out in the garden.
Have they all got names?
No.
Oh,
the rooster's called Hey Hey, after the rooster on the movie Moana.
Yeah.
But that's all. We have previously named all the chickens, but it didn't really work out that well. You know, it gets a bit sad when the time comes to kind of, you know, when they're getting a bit too old. But
yeah,
some of them do have names, actually. We've got some with little mohawks on their heads, so they're called Mo and Baby Mo, and so some of them do actually have names. Yeah.
So what are the highlights, and you touched on them about being versatile and fitting with your lifestyle and that sort of thing?
And the lifestyle are the main highlights, but also from the client perspective, I just love, not even if it might not even have anything to do with what I'm doing, but I love hearing their clients give them feedback and just like seeing the good things that they're doing in the world. You know, like I'm working with coaches who are just doing amazing things, and consultants and creatives, and just people who are just, their businesses are amazing, you know, and they're helping people, they're not solving all the world problems, but they're definitely solving some of them, you know. And just I love hearing the feedback that they get about what they're doing, and that just drives me to help them even more. And you know, look, if they've done an online course and then the people are raving about it, and so I thrive off all of that kind of positive feedback, you know. So even if it's nothing to do with what I've actually done for them, I just looking at the whole picture of it.
And it's an added bonus if it's something that you've been instrumental in.
Absolutely.
Getting out there.
Yeah. Like if it's a course I've helped set up and people love it, or if it's a social media post that I've done and people are really responding and engaging with it. And absolutely.
So like some of the team, you've got your own business and you contract for your VA. If someone was looking at becoming a VA and looking at the 2 options, what would your advice be? What's the difference for you in running your own business and being part of a team?
they both kind of work hand in hand, really. Like if you're just starting out, it's a really good, fast way to get clients, because you could just get handed clients and you don't have to go out and find them. And then also being part of a team, if there's something that I can't do or I don't have time to, there's another team member that I can hand it to. I can create graphics in Canva, and I do all the time, but if they want like a slightly different kind of graphic, like a Photoshop, or there's another person on the team that can kind of do the next level above what I can do. Or if there's something that I'm finding I'm pushing to the next week, I'm like, okay, I don't have time for this, I need to hand it to someone else. So that's the good side of it. In my own business, I don't have a team, so I have to do it all. Which is fine.
And there's pros and cons. I mean, obviously you get paid your worth for your own clients. So I agree with you. They go hand in hand, and it's a good mix.
And it's just like, also the other thing is I've met clients and worked with certain businesses that I probably would never have come across before. So it's like getting all different experiences. For me, I do more tech stuff. So I'm like learning a whole range of different tech products. I might use MailChimp, but now someone might use ActiveCampaign or Constant Contact. And so I'm just learning different programs with different clients and all of that kind of stuff too.
So if you could give someone that's thinking of being a VA or struggling being a VA one piece of advice, what would that be?
So my kind of biggest thing is you wanted to kind of be flexible, but also know where your boundaries are. So don't be afraid to say no if it's not going to be a fit.
Yeah.
Don't just do it for the money if you're going to hate every second of it. Like for me, I'm not a finance person. I'm not going to be doing zero work. I'm not a copywriter even. I'm not going to be writing like pages of copy. So I'd rather hand that kind of stuff over to someone else and focus on what I do best, which is the tech side of it. But then also, even if I don't know something, if I've never worked with a program, saying yes and then figuring it out is also... there's a balance, right? You kind of want to say yes and figure some things out, and also say no to what you don't want to do at all and what you have no intention of learning.
So you're happy to upskill and keep learning if it's in your area of
expertise. Yes, absolutely.
But if you hate doing
that's not
reconciliations and zero,
some people love doing reconciliations. I like
or credit control, Jilanne.
Oh gosh. So
know what you love doing and
you know what you love doing, but also don't be afraid to say no. Like, don't do something just for the money if it's going to make you miserable. But then sometimes you have to take on those clients or take on that work to know what you want, because sometimes you just don't know if I'm going to like it or not. So you might want to try to realize quickly that it's not what you want to do, and then don't be afraid to let it go.
That's awesome. And that's a wrap. The cat's gone.
That's a wrap.
I'll turn off record. Hang on.